What's going on YouTube? Today's video we have a tower fan comparison. This is the Dreo tower fan versus the Dyson tower fan. Is a $300 difference really worth for the Dyson? Is it really worth that price point? And can the Dreo actually outperform it? Let's find out. So to start off, we're going to do the on-paper specs. So we're going to go with the Dreo first. The Dreo has a 90-degree oscillation. The Dyson has a 70-degree oscillation. The Dreo has up to 12 hours for the timer, whereas the Dyson has up to 9 hours for a timer, from 15 minutes to 9 hours. Dreo has 9 fan speeds, whereas Dyson has 10 fan speeds. These are both bladeless designs. Now these are very similar in height. The Dreo is a 42-inch tower fan, whereas the Dyson is a 39.65 inch. So it's about a 2 to 3 inch difference. It's not completely crazy, but there you notice a difference. I don't know if it's because obviously there's a big hole in the middle, so it has an illusion to make it seem like it's smaller, but the Dyson is actually just smaller. The rest of the measurements goes as follows. The Dreo is a 12 inch by 12 inch, and that's measuring the base. And then the Dyson is a 7 by 7 inch, and that's measuring that base. So the base on the Dyson is smaller, giving it that smaller footprint in general. The Dreo has 3 methods to control this device. It has the remote, it has touch display, and it has app control. The Dyson only has about 2, technically 1 method. The most obvious one is the remote. It does have kind of controls on the bottom. You could turn it on and off and change fan speeds, but that's pretty much it for the actual onboard, like on the device. If you lose the remote, you're basically screwed. The remote is pretty cool. I like that it's a magnetic design. I actually do prefer that. And I honestly wish that Dreo would have had that design on here, since they do have the magnetic design on their AC units. Want to see that on their tower fans or just their fans in general. So let's go to do a real world scenario on whether it's worth it or not. Videos like this take a lot of time, money, and effort in order to make, and I really appreciate if you drop the like. You don't have to subscribe. Dyson, you're paying. When it comes to the assembly of both of these units, they are super simple to actually set up as opposed to any other models out there. It's super easy to assemble on the Dreo, but even easier on the Dyson. The Dyson, as far as I remember, I don't think I needed any screws. I'm pretty sure it's just putting places like a Lego piece and it fit seamlessly. So on Dyson's end, it was actually way easier. When it comes to the power designs, it is much thicker and has more protection whenever you're having it on the wall. So if you have it on the wall, you know how this typically drags down. It has that protected right there, but it is still a fairly big prong. Dreo, super simple. I love this design. Yeah, sure, it might tug, but even if it does, you can add some protection on it anyways if you're really anxious about that. They're both UL certified. The Dreo is 125 volt at 5 amps, which the Dyson is 125 volt at 10 amps. So it's double the amperage on the actual device, which means it's better current. If you don't know what that means, you can look into that a little more. So that's why it's probably a little bit bigger, because it's pushing out more current or amperage. Let's go ahead and test out the power rating on these devices now. First, we're going to start off with the Dyson here. So in the first mode, we are only drawing 5.2 watts of power, which is not that bad. Let's go ahead and grab the remote. Oh, by the way, for the remote, you do have to point it at the base for the Dyson, which is where this little number 1 is, and the base right there. You have to point it directly at that. For the Dreo, you could pretty much point it in the direction of the tower fan, which I prefer. On mode 2 for the Dyson, we are at 7.2 watts of power. For mode 3, we are at 11 watts of power, and this is where you can start to audibly hear the fan now. You can feel it. It feels really good. Now we're on mode 4, and we're about 14.4, 14.5, somewhere around there. Let's just do 14.4. And now we're on mode 5. So we're halfway there, and this is so far drawing 19 watts of power, 19.2 watts of power. Now we're on mode 6. Mode 6 is drawing 24.2 watts of power. Mode 7 is drawing 30.3 watts of power now. Mode 8 is drawing 37.3 watts of power. Mode 9, that's a huge jump. It went from 37 watts to 45.3 watts of power. And finally mode 10, another big jump from 45 to 54.4. And now we're going to turn on the oscillation function. So now it's oscillating 56 to 57 watts of power now. 57 now. But you know, anything above 3, it starts to get audibly louder, which is, you know, as expected. The wind feels really, really good. I like the way that this is designed and how it feels. It's like magical that you don't see the blades. It's really mesmerizing, I guess, but it's not $300 mesmerizing. It feels good though. Let's go ahead and test out the Dreo now. And the oscillation function was close to 2 to 3 watts, which is as expected. Now the rated power is 30 watts for Dreo, which usually they are very accurate when it comes to that. All right, so we're gonna go and turn this one on. We're at mode 1 and we're drawing 5.8 watts of power. Now we're gonna go to mode 2 now, from 5.8 to 6.7 watts of power. So almost 2 watts. Now we're gonna go to mode 3. On mode 3, we're on 7.9 watts of power. Now 8 watts of power. 8 watts of power for mode 3. For mode 4, it's at 9.4 watts of power. Now we're gonna go to mode 5, which at this point it should start to peak up after these modes. We're looking at about 10.8 watts of power. It just went up a little bit. Now we're on mode 6. We're at 12.9 watts of power for mode 6. Now we're gonna go to 7. We're at 15.2 watts of power for mode 7. Now we're gonna go to mode 8 here. On mode 8, we are at 18.5 watts of power. So there we go. Mode 9 now. You could audibly kind of hear it. It's definitely not as loud as Dyson. I'll even get closer to it. On mode 9, we are at 23.8 watts of power. Now we're gonna turn on an oscillation function. We're gonna see how high that one gets. So with oscillation, it adds an additional 2-ish watts of power. It's at 28.4 now. Under 30 watts. The Dyson climbed up to, I believe, like 55 or something like that. So it's almost double the wattage. So when it comes to power efficiency, Dreo takes the lead on that. All right, so we're also gonna go ahead and break down the energy cost for both of these because that is very important to know what this will look like per month. So we're gonna use our typical metric. Power is equal to energy multiplied by time. All right, so we're gonna use the Dyson's max power first as an example. This is 57 watts, what it was producing, and that is the power. We're gonna divide this by 1,000 in order to get our energy. So this will be our kilowatts. So we're gonna go ahead and get 57 divided by 1,000, which is 0.057, which is equal 0.057, and that is our energy. And now with that, we can go ahead and multiply it by a time metric, but this is our kilowatts. So we're gonna multiply this by a time metric. So however long you decide to use the device, let's just say 8 hours, that's our typical average. So we're gonna multiply it by 8 hours. So we're gonna use that and multiply by 8, just like that. So it's 0.456, 0.456. And this right here is our kilowatt hours now. And we're gonna multiply this number by however much PG&E costs per kilowatt hour. So in this case, we're just gonna do an example as 30 cents per kilowatt hour. So we're gonna multiply that number by 0.3. Now this is our per 8 hour usage, which is 0.13. So 13 cents per 8 hours. That's our cost per 8 hours. We'll just say that's per day, right? If we wanted to multiply this by week, multiply that by 7, that's about less than $1. So 95. And that would be per week. Per month, we're gonna multiply that by 4, 3.83. And that's per month. And then per year would be multiplying that by 12. So it's $45.96. And that's per year. Of course, if you're owning a Dyson, it won't really care, but less than $50 a year, assuming you use it hypothetically for 8 hours a day, every single day for an entire year. Now let's go ahead and quickly multiply Dreo, just see how much it costs per year. 28.4 divided by 1,000, 0.02 times 8 hours, 0.22. And then multiply this by 0.30. So it's 6 cents per day, or 8 hours. Multiply that by 7, it's 47 cents per week. Times it by 4, it's $1.90 per month. And per year, $22.90. So would you rather pay $22 or $45 per year? You can see it's almost double the cost if you were to go with Dyson. All right, we're gonna show you how powerful it is with the anemometer. So on mode 9, we're getting about 12.7 watts. 12.7 watts. We're getting about 13 miles per hour. on this. Let me go ahead and show you this a little better. All right, so on this, we're getting 13.4 miles per hour on mode 9, which is super quick. Let's go and test out the wind speed on the Dyson now. Let's go to mode 10. We're gonna see how powerful this gets. It's going to go to max speed and try to capture whatever the max amount that it is able to go. Right now we're at 10.7. I'm gonna sit here for a while to try to see how much it's actually pulling out. Okay, so taking a look at that, it was 10.7 miles per hour when it comes to Dyson. So for Dyson being slightly less powerful than the Dreo, and that was like on paper in real life type of thing, the numbers don't lie. The Dreo beats the Dyson. That says everything you need to know pretty much. The Dreo beats it in every aspect, in price, in performance, in power rating, almost in looks. Obviously I do give the point to Dyson on how sleek and modern it looks, but not $300 worth just to be less efficient, louder. Like, it's not as quiet as Dreo. It's louder, it's less efficient, it's wobbly because of the smaller base, and you just seen it was pretty much tipping over even at higher speeds. I love the fact that Dyson does have a nice small remote and that it's magnetic. That's one thing I like. The second thing is obviously the look. It's better looking than the Dreo by a little bit, but Dreo makes good looking products regardless, so it's tough to beat Dreo. When it comes to this, I also do love the oscillation function that Dyson does have. How fast it is, watch, let me show you. Like, look how beautiful it looks when it's oscillating, and it's really fast at oscillating. So it's able to cool down a room pretty quickly, but if it had more performance, then it would have been better. For it being bladeless and looking this way, it's about a 3 to 4 mile per hour difference. Is that really worth it? It's up to you. I mean, it still gets the job done. It's still a fan, but the fact that it's that loud just kind of makes me want to stay away from it. And especially since I do a lot of video work, I would rather have a quieter fan than a loud fan. To each their own. If you still want this $350 Dyson, then buy it, you know? It's your money at the end of the day. It's your hard-earned money. For my personal preference and for on-paper specs and what is better for your money, for your hard-earned money, I would go with Dreo. It's 90 bucks. It'll last a long time. It has app control in case you lose a remote. It has touch display because Dreo cares to actually have multiple ways to control it, even if you do lose the remote. So you don't have to rely on the remote. Unlike Dyson, you have to rely on this remote. So if you lose it, you have to buy a $20, $30 replacement. That's more money down the drain. Without further ado, if you guys want to check out the Dreo or the Dyson, whichever one convinced you, link is in the description down for both. I'll see you guys in the next video. We out.